Welcome to War Bios, the premier podcast exploring the intricacies of military history's most pivotal battles. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're diving into one of the most complex and decisive naval engagements in history, the Battle of Leyte Gulf. This epic clash of naval forces was a culmination of strategic planning, tactical innovation, and leadership under pressure, which would ultimately decide the fate of the Philippines and alter the course of World War II. As we delve into the earliest history of the Battle of Leyte Gulf, it's essential to understand the historical context that led to this pivotal engagement. In the summer of 1944, Allied forces had gained momentum in the Pacific, having secured key victories in the Mariana Islands and Guam. The next logical step was to liberate the Philippines, a strategic archipelago that would provide a crucial staging ground for future operations against Japan. On September 9, 1944, American forces captured the island of Peleliu, giving them a vital foothold in the Western Pacific. Meanwhile, Japanese forces were busy preparing their defenses on Leyte, building fortifications and deploying troops to key locations around the island. The Japanese Navy, under the command of Admiral Soemu Toyota, had devised a new defensive strategy known as Shogo, which called for a decisive naval battle to be fought off the coast of the Philippines. As part of this strategy, Admiral Takeo Kurita, who would lead the central force during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, was tasked with defending the San Bernardino Strait, a narrow waterway that separates the islands of Luzon and Samari. Kurita's force included some of Japan's most powerful warships, including the battleships Yamato and Musashi. These formidable vessels were designed to take on the Allied fleet, which was expected to approach through the strait. On the American side, Admiral William Halsey Jr., commander of the Third Fleet, was tasked with supporting the invasion of the Philippines. Halsey's fleet included a formidable array of aircraft carriers, battleships, and cruisers, which would play a crucial role in the upcoming battle. The Allies had also established a series of air bases on nearby islands, providing them with a significant advantage in terms of air power. As we explore the earliest history of the Battle of Leyte Gulf, it becomes clear that this engagement was not just a clash of naval forces, but also a test of strategic vision, tactical innovation, and leadership under pressure. The Japanese Navy's plan to lure the Allied fleet into a trap, using their battleships as bait, would ultimately prove to be a gamble that would have far-reaching consequences. The road to Leyte Gulf was paved by a series of smaller battles and skirmishes, each one setting the stage for the larger conflict to come. In September 1944, American forces captured the island of Morotai, providing them with a crucial airbase from which to launch operations against the Philippines. Meanwhile, Japanese forces were busy preparing their defenses on Leyte, building fortifications and deploying troops to key locations around the island. As the Allies drew closer to the Philippines, the Japanese Navy began to mobilize its forces for a final, desperate defense. The stage was set for one of the most epic naval battles in history, with the fate of the Pacific hanging precariously in the balance. As the Allies launched their invasion of Leyte on October 20, 1944, the Japanese Navy sprang into action, implementing their Shogo plan. Admiral Takeo Kurita's central force, comprising some of Japan's most powerful warships, including the battleships Yamato and Musashi, set sail from Brunei Bay, bound for the San Bernardino Strait. Meanwhile, Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa's northern force, consisting of 4 aircraft carriers, 2 hybrid battleship carriers, and numerous smaller ships, sailed from Japan, intent on luring the Allied fleet away from Leyte. The stage was set for a complex and multifaceted battle, with multiple forces converging on the waters off Leyte. The Allies, under the command of Admiral William Halsey Jr., had established a formidable array of air bases on nearby islands, providing them with a significant advantage in terms of air power. As the Japanese forces approached, Allied aircraft and submarines began to take their toll, sinking several key ships, including the carrier Zuikaku and the battleship Musashi. On October 24, 1944, the Battle of Leyte Gulf erupted into chaos as Kurita's central force sailed through the San Bernardino Strait, intent on attacking the Allied invasion fleet. However, they were met with fierce resistance from a group of escort carriers, destroyers, and destroyer escorts known as Tavi 3, which had been tasked with providing air support for the invasion. Despite being outgunned, the brave sailors of Taffy III launched a series of daring attacks against the Japanese fleet, sinking several ships and inflicting significant damage on others. As the battle raged on, Admiral Halsey's Third Fleet became embroiled in a fierce engagement with Admiral Ozawa's Northern Force. The Allies, with their superior air power, were able to sink 4 Japanese aircraft carriers, including the Zuikaku, and numerous smaller ships. Meanwhile, Kurita's Central Force, having survived the gauntlet of Taffy III, turned back towards the San Bernardino Strait, intent on escaping the chaos. The Battle of Leyte Gulf was a testament to the bravery and sacrifice of sailors on both sides. The Allies suffered significant losses, including the sinking of several ships, but ultimately emerged victorious, having secured control of the waters off Leyte and paved the way for the liberation of the Philippines. The Japanese Navy, having lost numerous ships and experienced personnel, would never fully recover from the blows inflicted during this battle. As we reflect on the Battle of Leyte Gulf, it becomes clear that disengagement was a turning point in the war in the Pacific. The Allies had gained a strategic advantage, securing a crucial foothold in the Philippines, while the Japanese Navy had suffered a devastating blow. The stage was set for the final act of World War II as the Allies began their push towards Japan. The legacy of the Battle of Leyte Gulf continues to fascinate historians and naval enthusiasts to this day, serving as a reminder of the bravery, sacrifice, and strategic genius that defined this epic conflict. In the months following the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the Allies continued their push towards Japan, securing key islands and territories along the way. The liberation of the Philippines, which had been a crucial objective for the Allies, was finally achieved in June 1945 with the surrender of Japanese forces on the island of Luzon. The bravery and sacrifice of Filipino guerrilla fighters, who had waged a relentless campaign against the Japanese occupation, played a significant role in this victory. As the war drew to a close, the Japanese Navy was all but defeated, its remaining ships and personnel struggling to survive in the face of overwhelming Allied superiority. The once mighty Imperial Japanese Navy, which had launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor just 4 years earlier, was now a shadow of its former self. The Battle of Leyte Gulf had marked a turning point in the war, as the Allies gained a strategic advantage that would ultimately prove decisive. The legacy of the Battle of Leyte Gulf continues to fascinate historians and naval enthusiasts to this day, serving as a reminder of the bravery, sacrifice, and strategic genius that define this epic conflict. The battle marked a significant shift in the balance of power in the Pacific, paving the way for the Allied invasion of Japan and the eventual surrender of Japanese forces on September 2, 1945. In the years following the war, the Battle of Leyte Gulf was studied by naval historians and strategists around the world who sought to learn from the tactics and decisions employed by both sides during this pivotal engagement. The battle's significance extends beyond its impact on the outcome of World War II, as it also marked a major turning point in the development of naval warfare, highlighting the importance of air power, carrier-based aviation, and amphibious operations. As we reflect on the Battle of Leyte Gulf, we are reminded of the enduring spirit of the sailors, soldiers, and airmen who fought and died during this epic conflict. Their bravery, sacrifice, and selflessness will never be forgotten, as their actions helped shape the course of history and pave the way for the freedom and prosperity that we enjoy today. In the words of Admiral Chester Nimitz, the Battle of Leyte Gulf was a victory of great importance, one that will be remembered for generations to come. The legacy of the Battle of Leyte Gulf serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of courage, sacrifice, and strategic genius in the face of overwhelming adversity. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.